Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back for another segment of It's Getting Real. I wasn't sure if I was going to come to you guys with this case because I found myself having more questions than answers. There are still people who are awaiting sentencing. There are still names that I don't know, things that I want to know. But I said I'm going to come to you all with this case because listening to what I listened to and searching the little bit that I was able to find online, this case really ticked me off because there are instances where I wonder how certain law enforcement officials, and I'm saying certain because not everyone acts this way, but how would some law enforcement officials act if they looked at a case and treated this person like they were someone that they cared about, like it was one of their loved ones? Do you think that they would treat them any differently or handle the situation differently? Or would they continue to, what I feel like sometimes is just go through the motions? So go ahead and hit the like button as we begin. Lakaria Moore was born on June 10th, 2004 to LaDeja Dial and Andre Moore. She was the eldest of 9 children, having 4 brothers and 4 younger sisters. She was described as someone who was beautiful, sweet, outspoken but kind, giving. She loved cooking. She loved doing hair and spending time with her family. Her mother says that they spoke often, sometimes multiple times throughout the day, which just goes to show you how close her family unit was. At the time of this incident, she was the young age of 18. Her life, in my opinion, was just beginning. So here we are now. Let's come to the year of 2023. Lakaria attended Lubbock, I hope I'm saying it right, public school. She then eventually finished out at Escado High School. 2023, it's May 21st. She's 18. She's heading to a party like so many other 18-year-olds do. But this time, this would be her last party because this would be the last time that she was seen from several people. She attended this party with her 40-year-old boyfriend, Christopher Carter. You heard me correctly. The man that she went to this party, who was known as her boyfriend, was 40 years old. I am 40 years old, and I cannot imagine at my big age of 40 dating someone who is the same age as my child. That is sick to me. That alone is a flag to me. I don't want to begin, nor do I understand what a 40-year-old man has in common with an 18-year-old child. And that she's 18, but I'm calling her a child, okay? So the plan was to go to the party with him and then head home. But something goes wrong. Not only did Lakaria not make it home, but she did not call her mother to tell her she would not be home. That's not like her. This is a girl that always talks to her mom, always informs her of her moves. They have a very close relationship. Her mother is then informed by people as she's calling around looking for her daughter that Lakaria had gotten into an argument with her boyfriend, Christopher. Witnesses who attended the party said that the altercation was not just verbal, it turned physical. I want to know why these witnesses that came out and say that they saw this altercation getting physical, why no one stepped in to hurt her, or why no one made sure that she returned home safely. It seems like this is an ongoing thing nowadays with people. And I understand that in this day and age that sometimes stepping into a situation involving any form of violence will then have you possibly getting hurt. But it doesn't take anything for you to pick up a phone and to call authorities to make sure that something is happening. Get some type of police assistance. But then again, with the way that the 911 calls go in this area, it may not have helped. We'll get to it though. After hearing this, like any other mother, Lakaria's mother is deeply concerned. She tries to get in contact with her daughter and she has no answer. Someone reaches out to see if Chris has heard from her. And the mom reaches out to see if Chris has heard from her. And he says to the mother that she walked off down the street and he hadn't seen her since. Now, this is weird because your 18-year-old girlfriend is gone. Who knows what time of night it is? You're not concerned about her safety. Everybody's saying that she hasn't been heard from, and you just nonchalantly say that she walked off, and you hadn't heard from her. Her mother cannot shake the feeling that something is wrong. So she continues to call around looking for her daughter, as well as calling her daughter with no answer. And at this point, her mom decides, I got to check out things for myself. So she goes to Christopher's house. His door is cracked, and from his door being slightly cracked, she immediately smells the presence of cleaning agents. She smells bleach. She smells that something has been done. Most people would feel like, okay, maybe that's not a big deal, but this man cleaning up his apartment to his house to this degree has her concerned, and she cannot shake the feeling that something is wrong. Her intuition is full steam ahead. After no one has heard from her, after smelling the cleaning agents, she contacts authorities. So on May 21st, 2023, shortly after 9:00 p.m., police are dispatched to the 2100 block of Jaden Avenue. Police arrive on the scene. They canvass the area in search of this young lady. They find some things. Eventually, they'll see that there's cleaning supplies as well as bloody items in a trash can located in the back of his home. There's bloody towels as well as a bloody blanket. All of the alarm bells for me would be going off at this point. These are not common items that people just toss in the trash. In my opinion, any person with any type of sense would immediately take the boyfriend in and anyone associated with him into custody and figure things out, but they don't. So it's clear Lakaria is in danger and they need to find her. The following morning, media is alerted about the situation. The message that police are searching for a missing teenager is out. In the description to the public, they're told she's 18 years old, she's 5'3", weighing in at about 200 pounds, and she has not been seen since Sunday. They have her listed as missing and endangered. Between social media, regular media, and people by word of mouth, the news is out. Everyone in Lubbock is on the lookout for this missing teen. A short time after the word is released, rumors begin to spread. It's a small community and they are talking. And the rumors then cause people to reach out to Lakaria's mom. And she is told that Lakaria has been harmed, that she was shot. Imagine being a mom looking for your child. Imagine hearing all of these things going on. You have this really bad feeling, and then you're told by someone that your child was shot. This had to be her mother's worst fear. So there are clips of her mother on the news saying, I just want to know where her body is. Just tell me where her body is, because at this point, I know that my daughter is dead. Just tell me where she is and do the right thing and turn yourself in. Her mother's resilience was next level because it took a lot of strength to do that. After realizing that your baby is possibly no longer here, the pain that she must have felt and her need to come on to the media for people to see her face, to put a face to what has happened, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could bear it. So on that same day that she made the statement on the news, which was May 22nd, 2023, officers find an abandoned vehicle. There was a call that went out about this vehicle because they saw some blood on the outside of the vehicle. So the abandoned vehicle that they found is discovered in the trunk to have remains of a young girl. They were discovered, the car was outside of the city limits. Investigators made sure not to release any information because at that time, they didn't know who the young lady was. All they knew that given the circumstances and what's been going on in the news, that this more than likely was related to the disappearance of 18-year-old Lakaria Moore. So the body is quickly identified, and what was originally deemed as a missing person now, unfortunately, is a homicide investigation. Officers are moving quickly because at this point, it has been less than 48 hours. I have no problem with that. I'm glad that they found this body. I'm glad that all these things happened. My problem is what happened after you found the body. So they run the plates of the vehicle and discover that the car is registered to Christopher Carter, who is Lecaria's boyfriend. Authorities quickly get a warrant for his arrest. The plans are to apprehend him and bring him in for questioning. So they go back to his house. He's not there. But what they find is additional things like 45 caliber ammo, 5 spent shell casings, and more cleaning supplies. They look all over the place for this man, supposedly, and they cannot find him. I'm going to go ahead and let you all know that he went into hiding, and he was able to do it because of the help of other people. His name is released to media. The entire community knows that police are looking for him. Police are hoping that someone steps forward saying that they know where he's at and that they just, let it be known. No one says his exact location, but the mother. We'll get into it. I'm telling you guys, this is not our normal cookie cutter ending. There is some mess here, and it just bothers me the way that this was handled. So days of him hiding turned into weeks, and there is still no sign of this man. Supposedly, authorities are looking. I don't know what they did in terms of if they pinned his phone, if they had his number, if they tried to figure out who his family was, if they contacted. I don't know what they did, but in my opinion, they were not looking hard enough, because in the news conference that I'll speak about later, her mother provided them very early on with tips of his whereabouts because the mother knew that he was in town. She did that as early on as the 21st. They discovered the baby's body on the 22nd. So here she is on the 21st telling you all he's here. And rather than going here and picking him up, what you do is you continue to do other things. As authorities are looking at various members, as authorities are continuing to look for this man, various members of the family continue to receive tips. So the family lets authorities know about the things that the community is saying, because there are instances where people are more comfortable speaking amongst each other than they are with detectives. I hate that, and I am not saying that it is right, but it is something that happens often. And what makes it even harder to understand to me is, had they had actually listened to the family, had they looked into the rumor mill, there may have been a different outcome in this case. So weeks have now turned into months, 2 to be exact. It's 2 months, and the authorities have finally have an idea of where Christopher is hiding. Law enforcement, along with the anti-gang unit, receive a tip in the morning about his location. They're told he's hiding in, I believe it was a Stadium Motel. They set up surveillance on July 31st. They see him enter his room. They plan to arrest him. He goes inside. He refuses to come out, and he barricades his door. After a significant amount of time passes, the door opens and another man walks out, and he says, "Christopher is dead." How this man is dead when officers are right outside the door, how they don't hear the commotion, how they respond once they realize it's him, I don't understand. I can't say yes, they should have stored the room, because he could have easily pulled out a gun and hurt one of them. I'm not saying that that was the case. What I'm saying is they should have apprehended him before it even got to the point of him being able to go into hiding and him barricading himself in a hotel. So shortly after 1:30 p.m., they go inside this hotel room and they see the man that is later identified by medical examiners as 40-year-old Christopher Carter, deceased from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. In other words, the coward, because he's a coward, shot himself. Not only did you put your hands on this young lady, not only did you kill her, but you killed yourself. So you couldn't even face your actions. It's ridiculous. Christopher Carter was able to evade police for 2 months. But during those 2 months of trying to catch him, as I said, rumors were surfacing. And one of those rumors were that Christopher had several people helping him. Once again, Ms. Dial, Lecaria's mom, tells authorities that she knows who had helped. She presents evidence to authorities that Christopher had helped cleaning up the crime scene, that her family had obtained audio recordings of Christopher's friend by the name of Jamal talking about the murder, admitting to helping to help Christopher clean up the crime. I don't understand who brags about those type of things. And I don't understand how the moment that those statements were made, that they did not call that young man into custody to question him. I don't get who brags about that type of stuff. And I don't understand why people are so comfortable with being jerks and inconsiderate and vile human beings, but we'll get into it. So the family went to the police with this information and they wanted charges for accessory to be filed because something has to be done. Because did they really get justice in this man unaliving himself and him not have to face charges or deal with what he did? No, they did not. According to the mother, they were told that Jamal, at the time when they were given this information, would serve better as a witness against Christopher. So no formal charges were filed against him. That was not going to work for the family. They wanted, and in my opinion, honestly deserved justice. So Lecaria's mom has an attorney. The attorney held a news conference, and I wish that I saw the name of the attorney, but it wasn't on the clip that I saw. But this white man was not playing with these people, and I loved what he had to say. He said, "Let it be known that I am here today on behalf of the family. This case has been mishandled from the very beginning, that there were times when the suspect could have been taken in alive, and those times were ignored by the Lubbock Police Department. They were repeatedly contacted by the deceased mom and told exactly where Christopher was. Her mother had a audio evidence stating that this particular individual not only was at the crime scene, but that he touched the body, that he turned her over, that he checked her pulse, that he looked up at Christopher and said, 'What are you going to do now?'" You guys, he said all of this on not national, on their news station. Like, this was a little mini press conference that he had where he said all of this. He didn't release his name, but he told the information. He has this information on an audio recording. Meanwhile, the man hasn't even admitted to any of this. And later on, you're going to see, based on his sworn statement, that this is what happened, that he did that. But let me continue. You see that someone is murdered, right? And rather than calling the cops, you ask, what are you going to do now? Where is the humanity? He doesn't call the cops. He doesn't report it to police. Instead, he helps. The attorney also reveals that there are other individuals as well, that some on the recording that there's proof of that. He lets it be known that the family wants to know who was helping Chris, saying that they want the people charged with aiding and abetting a fugitive. He says, "We also want to know the name of the man who was at the motel room and said that Chris Carter was dead. We also want to know the name of the person who rented the room where he was hiding. We want to know the name of the person whose car he was driving. We want to know the names or name of the people who he had been contacting on his phone. We want to know if his child's mother has something to do with this." And he didn't say his child's mom. He said the child's baby mama. He was not, he was on one. He's like, "Look, I'm going to hold you all to the fire because this isn't right." And the reason why he wanted to know about the mom is because allegedly she had been visiting the guy, Christopher, at the hotel that he was staying at, knowing that he had committed this crime. So the attorney did what he needed to do. And as a result of him doing that, and him holding the police department to a higher standard, he said the police department needed to man up and do their job, stating that as of 2019, LC has become the #2 worst city in Texas on crime statistics, going from 19 murders to 31 murders in less than 3 years. He complained about the 911 system, you guys, stating that the system in a year had missed over 30,000 calls, which is why I said, who's to say whether that call would have done anything, because you missed 30,000 calls. That's so dangerous. He called upon the LC police chief to take control of his operation or do the fair thing and resign. And I appreciate how this attorney put fire under their butts because his news conference worked. Because shortly after, Jamal Riggins would later tell authorities that the murder had occurred in the front yard. What we learned later on is that there had been calls made that someone heard shots fired. You see what I'm saying here? There were things that were happening in this neighborhood that once you found this out, you could have got him, but you didn't apprehend him. He said that Christopher shot her outside. After doing that, she was dragged to the front entryway of the home. Her body was then placed in the truck of his vehicle. So the rumor that her mother had heard about the body being shot the day after her disappearance was true. Christopher then drove his car with Lacaria inside, left it in an abandoned area. So as Chris was disposing the body, Jamal admits to being the reliable friend that was at Chris's home cleaning up the crime scene. 2 other people are later arrested. Nakia Spence on 2 felony charges of first-degree felony arson and burglary of a habitation because she later sets fire to the East Lomic home of Christopher Carter. She ended up injuring a dog in doing that. The dog had severe burns. She remained in the Lubbock County Detention Center on a bonds totaling of $175,000. Tajia Washington, or is it Tajia Washington Harris, was charged with hindering the apprehension or prosecution of a known felon, and that was for helping Carter avoid arrest. She knew he was wanted for murder, and she was the one helping him with hotel rooms as well as providing him with money. She was held in the Lubbock County Detention Center on a $50,000 bond. Her charges face anywhere up from, it's a 3rd-degree felony, and it's from 2 to 10 years in prison, but she is still awaiting trial. Jamal was arrested for tampering or fabricating evidence. He ends up pleading guilty and is sentenced to 15 years in prison. And that is where it stands as of the last article that I saw written on it. You guys, I just feel like a disservice was done to this young lady in so many ways. I wish that they would have caught Christopher. I wish that he wasn't able to hide out for 2 months and then be able to serve his own version of justice by unaliving himself. I think it's a coward thing to do. I think if you're big enough and bold enough to put your hands on a woman and unalive her, then you should be big enough and bold enough to face prosecution and deal with what it was that you've done. Unfortunately, the ball was dropped. I hope that cases like this, it seems like it's happening more and more. And at this point, I just don't know. She was 18 years old, you guys. 18. She hadn't even begun her life. And just like that, because of whatever argument that we'll never know what exactly happened, but because of an argument, she is no longer here. You guys be safe and continue to rest Lacaria Moore. Until next time.